Hi guys, it's ASBYT and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, a lot of you guys have possibly got a little bit of cash over the Christmas period, so we want to find out the best way that we can spend it on some of the best products, but not spend, just don't get ridiculous. You want to still be in budget, but you've got a little bit of spare cash. So today we're looking at potentially one of the best Android budget tablets around. Then over the next few days, we've also got my review of the Doogie Mix 2. I've had it for a while, I've tested it quite a bit, so I can give you my honest feedback. The same with this Android tablet. We've also got a 4K action camera that runs at 60 frames a second. And then intermingled with all of that, we've also got some of the old school software stuff like app reviews and things like that. So we've got so much coming over the next few days. I hope you are excited. Let's get straight to this unboxing and review of this Teclast T10. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell if you're new and want to be notified every time I post a new video. So here is the Teclast T10 right in front of me. I'm going to do a quick, it's literally going to be a few, I'm not going to waste your time with an unboxing per se because we want to get straight to what's good about this individual product. So I'm just going to flash what's in the box and then we're going to come straight back to here and look at exactly what I like about this product, what I don't like, what I think could be improved, and then of course whether I think for the money it's good value. Now if you do enjoy this, this product is linked in the video description below if you are interested in purchasing it after seeing this review. And I'll also leave listed below any discount codes I do get because I do get sent them quite regularly for different products. I'm also going to be running some benchmarks. I'm not sure what that runching word was. ANTUTU and GEEKBENCH as well. Now this doesn't tell you everything about a product as you well know, but it does give you a very squeaky chair. Too many mince pies over the Christmas period. Ooh. Right, so inside the box, the tablet is covered with this individual little thing, but it also does have a screen protector as well when you take it out of the actual box. So I've obviously taken it off for testing. It is well protected. Now this is the actual box that it comes in. As you can see, not a lot of detail really, just white and orange details on here. You've got the model number there, which of course says Model T10. Under that model number, which you can't see, it does also have 64 gigabytes of storage that I can just faintly make out. It does have 4 gigabytes of RAM as well. Should be pretty slick, should be pretty quick. Slick, quick. So also in this little box, it does also come with a charging brick, of course. You've also got a SIM ejector, as you can see here. Bit of information that we don't really want or need. That is pretty much it, because that is they're two dummy packs there. Right, so this is the display. Now, in terms of brightness, it's not the brightest screen you're ever going to get. And also, again, low light isn't too low either. You know, as we're in broad daylight here, well, we're in studio lighting anyway, you can fairly well distinguish the apps, etc. on the screen. So it's not got the biggest range in terms of brightness to darkness, but nevertheless, what we do have is, again, for the price, which we'll get to, for this sort of budget area, we do have quite a nice, crisp, vibrant screen. In terms of the screen, it is an IPS panel, and the screen resolution is 2560 by 600. It's a 10.1 inch display, and it doesn't appear to have, to me, any screen bleeding, which you sometimes do get on IPS panels. It's just the nature of the technology. Obviously, it is backlit, so therefore, if you have sort of a bit of a gap between the actual glass and the hardware behind it, then you will tend to get the backlight bleeding which comes through on the corner. So that's a good thing to test when you're looking at a budget product, how much of that bleeding you get, because obviously the lower end products tend to have more bleeding because they just they don't make the product as good. So obviously with this one, like I said, pretty good in terms of the bleeding aspect at this moment in time. And I'll just bring the screen up so you can see, try and get right to that corner. There's, as you can see, very minimal gap. There is a slight black line around the outside of the screen, but the actual depth of the screen, like I said, is pretty spot on. Right, so on top of the screen, as you can see there, we have our front-facing camera, which is a 13 megapixel camera, which we'll test. On the back is an 8 megapixel, again we're going to test. And we have our light sensor here, nothing else on here. We don't have, as you can see, a fingerprint sensor on the front, but we do have a fingerprint sensor. So that leads us on to the next bit. As we flip this over, I'll just lay this here. we have our fingerprint sensor right here. Now this is a little bit strange. Something you'll see in a mobile phone, a smartphone usually, you'll see at the top, like the Xiaomi Mi A1 for example here. As you can see, you have the fingerprint sensor right there. And that tends to be a feature, like I said, with a lot of phones that use the fingerprint sensor on the back. But you're going to hold a tablet in a different way. So it's a bit of an odd positioning for me. Not a deal breaker though. And again, we'll get to the fingerprint sensor once we've gone through the aesthetics. Camera on the top there, as you can see, which is, like I said, 8 megapixel. Bit of branding here, T10 and a bit of writing. And that is pretty much it. This is made of metal. This whole device is made of metal, other than this top bit here, which is made of plastic, because you've got the Wi-Fi and the network technology obviously all inside. So onto the top, we have, as you can see here, we have the 2 ports. And these are of course where you charge it, etc. Now this is a strange location again for me. Personally, I would prefer it having it on the bottom or the top. It just makes more sense. You don't see any, I can think of, smartphones that have the port for your charger like here. It's either bottom or top, usually bottom, but again, that's just again another aesthetics thing that you might not care about. Just again something I'd point out. So also on here we have our power button here and our volume rocker here, and these are metal as well and do feel very premium. Sometimes you will get plasticky ones and they quite flicky to touch. These are very sturdy. This is running Android 7.0, so not Oreo, and again at this low end sort of budget area of the market, you're probably not going to see an upgrade on this software. Just putting it out there, they may well do, but I would believe they will just make a new product, because again, sales for them at this low end of the market, they need to make the sales. So therefore, if they're pushing out updates and people aren't jumping to new products, they're going to run out of the funds in order to keep that technology moving forwards. Speaker grills, we have one there and we also have one there. Again, we'll get to the sound, but you do have dual speakers, one on each side, which again is positive. Some budget products only have them on one side. And we also have our SIM card slot here, which you can also add expandable storage. So again, something... Don't know why I made that noise, like I was out of breath. Again, too many mince pies. So that expansion goes up to 128 gigs as well, so that is another very impressive attribute. You can have so much storage on here, more than you'll ever need. And the 4 gigabytes of RAM mean that opening up and closing down things work pretty flawlessly. You're not really going to have too many issues loading anything on here. It just loads up very, very quickly. You can multitask, you can recent apps, you can scroll through. Obviously, there is an occasional stutter every now and again, which you won't get on perhaps a flagship 835 processor by Snapdragon, for example, because the processor on this is the MTK 8176, which kind of runs along the same lines as it's comparable to possibly the Snapdragon 625 area in terms of that sort of benchmark score. The benchmark scores come up while we're on this subject. So we've got 15,026 there for the single core and 35,090 for the multi-core. And as you can see there, for the actual ANTUTU score, we have a score of 69,931, which is pretty decent. It's not, like I said, like the OnePlus, for example, the OnePlus 5 is 180,000, somewhere like that. And that's using the Snapdragon 835. However, the Xiaomi Mi A1, for example, which I did do a review on, which I'll leave linked here, is a great sort of budget smartphone, which is still a very good quality, premium in the hand, etc., etc. And that, again, is around that sort of benchmark score. Battery capacity is 8100, so 8100, which will probably last you up to 6-7 hours of screen on time. It's not groundbreaking for a tablet, but it is pretty decent. Let's download YouTube. See, look how quick it is running. It's very, very smooth. Every time you touch the screen, it is responsive. It's not like sometimes you will press a tablet, a cheap tablet, and you'll have to press really hard compared to the really high-end products where you just give it a little tap. And it's definitely somewhere in between, but it's edging more towards that premium section than the press really hard and end up feeling like you're breaking your finger. So let's go on here and let's test this one out. A review of a smartphone that I did recently. A £75 one, if you're asking. A smartphone, it's the same thing, that costs £75. And this is kind of going to be a new series where I look at cheap budget products and I tell you whether I think personally... That's at top volume. So in terms of the actual sound volume, it's okay, it's pretty loud. It does get a little bit crackly towards the top end, so they can still do a little bit of work with the sound, but on the whole, it's reasonable. Right, so let's jump onto the fingerprint sensor on the back. Like I said, I prefer it on the front, but, you know, they're quite small bezels. It's not, you know, it's pretty good in terms of the actual size of the screen to body ratio. But the actual fingerprint sensor, it's not the end of the world. You obviously hold your tablet like that, and it does rest fairly nicely in the hand here. It's not a great fingerprint sensor though, to be honest. So as you can see here, if we just lock it up, there is a delay. It's not a horrendous delay, but it is a 1.5-ish delay, which again you don't get from the top brands. It's quite accurate, but there are a few times where you'll miss that spot 100%, and of course then it just won't work. There's no margin for error is the phrase, and when it does work, it's a bit of a delay, but nevertheless, if you do hit it on the spot, 9 times out of 10 it will work every time. And again, for me, a fingerprint sensor on a tablet isn't essential. On a smartphone it is, because I'm often taking it out and about, and obviously that danger, that security aspect of it. I usually would leave a tablet at home, but some of you guys traveling, for example, you might want that feature, so something to think about. Right, so let's jump onto the camera now. Again, something that I don't think is important on a tablet. I personally don't use a tablet for photographs. I use a camera or a smartphone, and the smartphone cameras now these days are so good that I would never ever get out my tablet a big bulky thing like this, a big brick. I wouldn't get out to take a photo. But again, that's just me. If you want to use that, then you want to look for a product that has a really good camera. This probably isn't going to be it. But most cameras on tablets aren't that great. So like I said, this is the 8 megapixel. And what we'll do is we'll just line a phone up there, and we'll just take a quick snap from close range. And as you can see, there's a lot of overexposure when you're tapping. It struggles, it finds it hard to actually focus on things. It's not that good. I'll just take one of the table. And again, we have better than this for sure. It does have HDR mode that you can change as well, so we'll just turn that to on and see if it makes any difference. The overexposure's back, so yeah, not a massive fan of the camera. You can get some photos. That's kind of where I'm going with this. You're not going to get world beaters, but you are going to get a photo, you'd hope, from a camera. So right, we're going to go on to the selfie camera now. Right, so there is the selfie camera. And actually, so the selfie camera is a 30 megapixel, and the selfie camera is actually better than the rear camera, which you would normally not see on, especially on smartphones. Usually it's the other way around. The selfie camera suffers over the other one, but clearly this is used for webcam, things like that, so that's probably why they've angled it towards the selfie camera being better than the rear camera, but it definitely works much clearer. Yeah, so as you can see here, these are the two selfie camera shots, and then you go to the rear camera shots, and there is definitely a difference in clarity for sure. There's a lot more blurring, a lot more overexposure in those rear shots compared to the selfie camera, which is much clearer. One more thing to note about this tablet is it is fairly light. For the size, it's 10.1, like I said. Some of them are really heavy and bulky, especially the budget ones, or they're really flimsy and light because they're made of a plastic. So you are definitely getting a pretty decent weighted product. It's not really even a thing, is it? A pretty good weighted product. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to end the review on that note. So let me know what you think about this product in the comment section below. Whether you're thinking about purchasing a tablet with some Christmas money or in the new year, in the January sales, then this again is something that you might want to look at. The link is left in the video description below, where you will find, if I have one, because I constantly get sent discount codes, for example, for certain products. If I can find a discount code for this, then I will leave it listed below, as well as the link to buy it. And the price at this moment in time is £195. So I think for the price, this is a really, really good product. If you want the best, then you don't go with this. But again, if you want the best, it's going to cost you probably somewhere in the region of £100, £200, £300 more than this. This is in that 100% bracket of 0 being the worst and 100% being the top brands, the top performers. This is probably around a 75. So that gives you a good idea, in my opinion, where this ranks. I nearly pushed it off the table there. Let's not do that again. So on that, I actually nearly did. Like and share if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit that little notification bell next to it if you want to be notified every time I post a video on anything tech related, device reviews, product reviews, software, hardware, app reviews, all of that sort of goodness. Everything to bring you up in the world of tech in a nice, clean, simple way. Yeah. So I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. That says ASBYT. Peace out.